For an example of living successfully, forget Oprah Winfrey, follow the path of Honda's Accord. Since 1976, it's evolved from a two-door hatchback to become the consummate family sedan. Over the decades, it's adapted to the American market with such grace, it makes Tony Robbins look indecisive. This is the 11th generation. Honda says it's on a new global platform, while the wheelbase remains exactly the same. It's nearly 3 inches longer now due to longer overhangs. If you had your heart set on the 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder, sorry, not available anymore. There's now a choice between a 1.5-liter turbo and this hybrid, which is a skosh more powerful now. Honda says that going forward, 50% of all Accords will be hybrids. This top-trim touring model in Canyon River Blue is fully loaded with an MSRP of $39,000. That's including shipping. Accord is popular, but the cold hard truth is, it's a sedan. Buyers prefer SUVs like CR-V, Passport, and Pilot these days. But sedans do keep selling. Being authentic is always a winning approach. Don't forget, Accord tried to do the crossover thing with the Cross Tour. We all know how that turned out. Simplifying the build complexity by eliminating the 2-liter turbo helps to keep things profitable. The hybrid boosts Honda's CAFE numbers, and it adds some zip. Not all hybrids are pokey. This'll spool up to 60 miles an hour in just under 7 seconds, which might be a second slower than the outgoing 2-liter turbocharged 4, but this has massive fuel economy advantages. At an EPA-rated 46 miles per gallon in the city, the hybrid is more than twice as efficient as the outgoing turbo. And don't forget, electric motors have instant torque off the line, so this feels quicker than it is. And sometimes perception is more satisfying than reality, huh? The outgoing Accord had a hybrid powertrain. This one is different. The 146 horsepower 2-liter 4-cylinder runs the Atkinson cycle, as hybrids often do. The traction electric motor makes 181 horsepower. A second one for power regeneration makes 161. It feeds the 1.1 kilowatt-hour battery pack and smaller intelligent power unit tucked under here. Total system power is 204 horsepower and 247 pound-feet of torque, a smidge higher than before. This hybrid system is very much like the one found in CR-V, which only makes sense, though Accord is not available with all-wheel drive. Now, generally, the gas engine runs a generator, which sends the electricity through the battery to the electric drive motors. There isn't a real transmission. There are 2 lockup clutches, though, that will engage to drive the wheels directly for best efficiency. The engine may or may not kick on at startup. Seems to be temperature and drive mode dependent. The old-school Prindle shifter masks the high-tech happening in the drivetrain. Personally, I prefer these to vague electronic joysticks. Paddles decrease and increase the recuperation drag. There are 6 levels of that. And there are the obligatory drive modes. Those have been expanded in this generation. There's an EV mode, too, for motoring about on battery power alone at low speeds for very short distances. Price-wise, it's hard to compare the 1.5-liter turbo Accord with the hybrid because the gas-only models are only sold in the 2 lowest trims. The difference between the top turbo model and the lowest hybrid is around $2,300, but the hybrid offers more standard kit, cheaper to operate too. The hybrid is EPA rated at 44 miles per gallon combined, and I pretty much saw that. The turbo, 32. Think about it, that's 12 mpg better than the 1.5-liter turbo-equipped Accord, and this powertrain is smoother, so not only are you getting efficiency, you're getting better refinement. Honda took the time to pipe performance engine sounds into the cabin under hard throttle and tune the driveline to feel like there's traditional cog swaps. There are some telltale hybrid powertrain signs, but really, considering the complexity of this, the gas engine that's primarily running a generator that powers the wheels electrically, it feels remarkably like a normal car with a gearbox. Yes, those shifts feel real even though they're simulated. sort of like the Matrix. And from behind the wheel, this roomy sedan offers up some satisfaction. When it comes to handling in class, Accord is still kind of the one to beat. Body movements are very nicely controlled, it's sporty, plus it's comfortable. It soaks up bumps nicely. Nicely done, Honda. When using the brake pedal, the transition from regenerative to the physical binders is pretty much undetectable. Automakers are getting good at that. In normal mode, when you use the left paddle to increase recuperation, it does slow you down significantly, but it isn't a true one-pedal driving dynamic. And one thing, when I use the accelerator, it cancels that out again, and I have to dial it back in to get drag. That's kind of odd. In the driving department, that's my only significant gripe. There's some very good ADAS technology dubbed Honda Sensing, like improved automatic emergency braking with pedestrian and cyclist detection. New Traffic Jam Assist helps with the drudgery of slogging through stop-and-go traffic under 45 miles an hour. And Touring gets additional low-speed sensors that keep parking lot impacts less likely. Plus, Accord is a good vehicle for doing distance in. Remember when Honda was kind of known for having a lot of road noise? This is much better. For starters, it has active noise cancellation technology, sort of like your headphones. There's added sound deadening material all throughout the cabin. Plus, the Touring is especially hushed because it has acoustical laminated glass on the side windows and the windshield. Only hybrids get the active noise cancellation. It reduces boominess and rumble. Modern Honda interiors are getting this design approach. The long stretch of grid pattern gives the cabin a wide planted visual, and the hardware feels expensive. This is what owners see the most of. Smart of Honda to put the money and style into this space. For the most part, materials look a grade higher than the pricing would anticipate. For the most part, this is low and out of sight. Shiny plastic tends to scratch over time. The closest fashion rival is the Hyundai Sonata Hybrid. Cross-shop those two interiors. This is the most light the roof lets in. There's no panoramic glass option. And no heated steering wheel? That's a big miss on a top-shelf model. The new seat design uses a fairly firm cushion. Honda claims better support on longer trips. On Touring, they're heated and vented. This is leather, by the way. Every Accord hybrid gets wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, and this larger 12.1-inch touchscreen. Only the Touring gets a cheap pad for charging devices and a solid 12-speaker Bose sound system. Make sure to stock up on USB-C cords. It's all that's offered in here. Touring's interface is unique in that it gets Google Assistant as an upgrade. It uses the wake phrase, "Hey Google, my butt is cold." It does rely on a data service. That's free for 3 years. After that, it's a subscription service. Welcome to the future. Storage? Yeah, there are the usual spaces. I always appreciate a place for sunglasses. Door pockets are a bit small, but that's not a deal breaker for most buyers. We're both 5'9", and I've got the seat adjusted for a comfortable driving position. And I'm curious, does the battery underneath the seat affect the space back there? Nope. Pretty sure it's the same as the gas-only model. It's very spacious back here. Headroom, I've got that much. Knee, leg, and footroom, very generous. In fact, Honda says that the Accord has best-in-class legroom. Cushions are high enough, thigh support is excellent, so the seats are comfortable, and the door openings are wide, plus the door opens wide. Getting car seats in and out is not an issue here. There are a couple storage cubbies here, which is good because there's no pocket on the back of the driver's seat. Boo, hiss. This being the top Touring model, you'd think that they would have built-in sunshades. I suppose they need to save something for Acura. Power ports to charge phones? Yes. A separate climate zone? No. At least there are heated seats back here. That's a win. There is a bit of a spine back here. It almost makes me wonder if Honda might give Accord all-wheel drive in the future. It sort of hems my chucks in, but really, 3 average-sized adults will be good to go here with lots of legroom, plus the bench is wide, so going across town, a trio should be happy. Generation 11's design is distinctly cleaner and simplified compared to the last version with its hammerhead shark vibe. That styling never got its due, in my opinion. For some, the new version will look more upscale, almost Audi-like. To other eyes, the visual is kind of plain. The old chestnut design is subjective, has never been more true here. Like the newest CR-V, it almost looks like the exhaust ports were stuck up front. There are still sedans out there, and cross-shoppers will check out Chevy Malibu, Nissan Altima, Toyota Camry, Hyundai Sonata, Subaru Legacy, and Kia K5, though only Sonata and Camry offer a hybrid. I get why SUVs and crossovers are so popular these days. They are more practical than sedans, even though Accord's trunk is really big, largest in class. There's a little room under the load floor, no spare tire though, just a repair kit. It helps that the seat backs can be unlatched here. You'll have to poke them down with the long thing that you're trying to haul. Being a skier, I'd like a pass-through or a 40-20-40 split seat. Know your needs. Sedans are not as useful as SUVs, but Accord pulls its weight when doing chores. A CR-V hybrid scores 9 bundles of softness and absorbency. Accord won't take on tall cargo, but it can swallow up 7 packs of the 2-ply. Pretty impressive. That's 16.7 cubic feet, the same for the hybrid or gas-only model. Let's move on to red light, green light. Green light. Fully loaded, Accord Hybrid is under 40 grand. The average vehicle sells for 48 these days. The hybrid model is smoother, more powerful, and more efficient than the 1.5-liter turbo engine. There's some fun to be had while saving fuel. The interior is roomy and well-trimmed, plenty of space for the family. Yellow light. The Google Assistant feature unique to touring works well. It's less useful without the data plan. The new design is graceful, or kind of dull, depending on your taste. The hybrid powertrain is excellent, but come on, Honda, give us a plug-in hybrid like the Insight. Red light. Small stuff. This top touring model doesn't have a heated steering wheel. This being a Honda, there will be no panoramic glass roof. And it looks like a spare tire could have been wedged into the trunk. But no. We all have that reliable, capable friend, the one that's always doing the right thing, the one we take for granted. This is the automotive equivalent. Accord is an institution. If you're thinking about buying a sedan, you really need to test drive it, otherwise you're cheating yourself. I mean, it looks good, it's got a nice cabin, it's quiet, it's comfortable, it's efficient if you're going with the hybrid. Accord has been on Car and Driver's 10 best list since my hair was dark. So I think that tells you something. Really, test drive this sedan. Accord continues to be a wise choice. Honda has guided this sedan towards mainstream goodness for nearly 50 years without making a bad decision. With wide appeal, it's the Steve Carell of automobiles. If we could all be that successful. A big shout out to Rob Calero for driving duties so I can shoot running footage. It's the one thing that I can't do on my own. I couldn't do these reviews without Rob and Martin Campbell. Thanks, guys. Stuff happens on location. Pretty happy that in all my years of shooting these pieces, I've never had an animal casualty so far. They're vegan videos. I employ experienced stunt squirrels. Before I go, I just wanted to touch on something that I haven't talked about in a while, and that is people that haven't been car shopping for 5 or 10 years. You really need to do your homework, okay? Things have changed radically. And if you're not doing that, you don't know what you don't know. The Accord, 50% of them are going to be hybrids now. The South Korean brands are killing it. The American brands are killing it. Everybody's making great vehicles. So get out there and test drive, okay? I want to make sure that you get the best car for you. Thanks for watching. Remember, subscribe to this channel, click notifications, follow me on social media, and if you have a question, leave it in the comments. That's Driven. I'm Tom Volk.